Hey everybody, and welcome to G4TV on this wonderful Friday, as we're about ready to get into the weekend over here, at least in the States. I have some news that I'm absolutely thrilled to bring to you guys. It warms me down in the cockles of my heart. It makes me quite happy, so we're going to play this little 30-second video over here, and then we're going to talk about what we are witnessing. Just that little wow 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 at the end tugs at the heartstrings. To me, this is almost as heartwarming as the time that I first got a hold of Goofy's Alpha from Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux and got to hear some of the sounds again and the music. G4TV is coming back. Sadly, we have to wait until 2021, and I feel like the world may implode before G4TV comes back. But the thought of G4 and Attack of the Show and X-Play, the fact that this could be back in some form, whether it's on YouTube TV or Twitch or on a streaming platform or just hopefully on a TV somewhere, is amazing. Now, I'm not like Faye down here who was really young when G4TV came out. I was, very much an adult at the time. But it was so hugely influential for me. The biggest thing G4TV did for me was give me X-Play. And here's how this affects this channel, and how in a lot of ways it is the source for one of the biggest things on the channel. X-Play, in one particular episode, interviewed Justin Woods, who was running the Marvel Avengers Alliance game at the time. It hadn't been out yet. It was in beta. And unfortunately, it's been really, really tough to find this particular episode. And I can't find it. But there was an episode where they were interviewing Justin Woods. And he said, we have this new game coming out. It's going to be Marvel Avengers Alliance. It'll be on our website. It'll be on Facebook. We wanted to set out to make a game that was as epic as Final Fantasy VII, but we wanted it accessible to everybody on the web, and you could get into the beta of Marvel Avengers Alliance at the time with the code that was given out in the show. And I did, and I started covering Marvel Avengers Alliance at that point, and I got the X-Play Exploiter, which was a piece of gear given to people who got into the beta. And then it carried over to when the game went live and came out of beta, and then that's what led to me covering it. Attack of the Show was funny. It gave us, well, yeah. See, this is X-Play, not G4TV, but it gave us Olivia, which was, she would go on to do Psylocke, which, admittedly, she did have the right appearance for. Apocalypse was maybe a movie that didn't go over well with some people, and there were some issues with how everybody was represented in that, and a little bit came down on Psylocke, but Olivia Munn, I think, really had the look to play Psylocke, at least. I think one of the cheesier aspects of it was when she was getting choked out by Apocalypse, when really it was Mystique, but it was still obviously Olivia acting it out. I thought that was a little overblown, but Attack of the Show and X-Play were just so influential. And admittedly, it would be tough for G4TV to exist 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just on the backs of 2 1-hour shows. And I think that was a little bit tough to do, and that's why it became the network of cops and cheaters. That's how, unfortunately, how G4TV came down to it at the end, is you had these 2 good shows, and then everything else was just weird, like old Fox reruns and everything like that. And that is, unfortunately, eventually what would wind up killing it. But their coverage, I mean, X-Play's coverage of E3 when they would come around was something that I look forward to every single year. And it was my go-to coverage for E3. It was literally G4TV and X-Play or everything else when it came to the game shows. And once we get past the itis and things do return to normal at the rate in which they should, we cannot force this, obviously, but when things come back, there were so many things during the year between BlizzCon, E3, PlayStation reveals, the Game Awards, and we've lost Spike now, too. That's another thing. We don't have Spike anymore, which could have absorbed some of the stuff from G4TV. In my area, when G4TV wrapped up, I think it became Esquire. And it's like, I always felt like, we have enough stuff in the Esquire vein that we didn't need a whole station dedicated to it. I felt we needed the station dedicated to what G4TV was doing. A gamer-focused one. Esquire, like, why do we need a station dedicated to muddling cocktails? And that's what Esquire always felt to me. It's like, why do we need a station dedicated to Stitch Fit the app and how to muddle some mint into a fucking cocktail? We didn't need it. We needed G4TV. I hated the fact that G4TV was going. And they had an app at the time that was also relatively decent. It just, I think there's a lot that they could have done, especially in some somewhat competition with Twitch. They maybe could have had some streaming on there. Hearing this arena multiplayer competition, teams of 4 players. They have the Overwatch League now. They could have done something like an Overwatch League where they could pick a game and, I don't know, maybe once a week have teams fight each other from that particular game. Maybe a gauntlet-style reality show where you have 4 or 5 teams or something like that, and they compete over various games until there's a grand winner. Like, here's the RTS week, here's the first-person shooter week, maybe a speed run of a particular game, like a speed run competition week. I think there's a lot that they could have done to have kept the network alive, but unfortunately, it went away. And this G4 logo is such memories over there. But aborted rebrand is the Esquire network. Yeah, there it is. I hated the Esquire network. Metrosexual audience about travel, cooking, fashion, non-sports related, male programming. Week delayed episodes of Late Night with Jimmy Fallon. What would even be the point of a week delayed episode like that? Final day is on the air, November 30th of 2014. I cannot believe it's been that long. G4's last programming day basically served as the final sign of the network's later channel drift by consisting of repeats of X-Play, Campus PD, Proving Ground, Oh, Jessica Chobot was in that. Human Wrecking Balls, and one last rerun of special Top 100. I remember, yeah, when they were doing the top 100 video games of all time. But I mean, missing Olivia, missing Kevin. I mean, they had already, a lot of people like Sessler and Kevin and Olivia had transferred out and were doing other things. But I mean, Morgan Webb was always good. Blair Herter was good. Jessica Chobot. They had a playmate, that blonde. Who was that blonde playmate they had there down the stretch? I've now forgotten. Maybe she was over on. Let's see if it was Attack of the Show. Sarah. I think, yeah, Sarah Jean Underwood. That's who it was. I miss these two shows so much. I'm so happy to hear that Attack of the Show is coming back, and I cannot wait until I hear more information about it. San Francisco on stage, the 30-minute special titled Best of the Attack of the Show. I mean, Olivia, with all the hot dogs sticking out of her face, there was a pudding wrestling episode at one point. Kevin, I always thought, was ridiculously funny. Kevin and Olivia, I think, were two very good hosts that played very well off each other. Candace Bailey, yeah, I remember her. I would love their special brand of covering the award shows and everything like they did back then. I would like to tune into them for information when these gaming conventions happen and everything. And I wonder what else they could potentially come up with. Like, can they get a good 7-day-a-week programming? Could they do a split programming where Monday through Friday is G4TV, and maybe at a certain point on Friday, like late Friday night, it switches over to a weekend programming at the time. Despite the hardships and limitations imposed on them, X-Play and G4 produced smart gaming commentary that snuck in subversive leftist humor and reviews for long-forgotten PSP games. You rarely, if ever, see that from a YouTube creator today. This is... I'm so happy. I mean, I think there's so much that they could do in there. Like, maybe go back and interview old people from the industry and see where they are now. Like, dig up the inventors of the Atari and do an expose on that, or do I mean, it's on Netflix and everything, but Billy, who supposedly had the Donkey Kong record, but then maybe he was cheating, and I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff they could do, and I think there's definitely an audience for it. It's something we need right now. It's something that never should have gone away. And I think there is so much out there that they can potentially cover in any day. And I mean, there's so much news in video gaming, whether it's a straight report on a game itself or a beta that might be out, and they're like, hey, go to this website and sign up for this beta by Friday and you'll get into it, to the actual non-gaming news that happens in the gaming sphere, like controversies over things like, oh, so-and-so's in the news again because they did crunch and somebody half dropped dead because of the crunch at CD Projekt Red, or is The Last of Us 2 really a divisive game, and what is everybody's problem with it? I mean, you could probably spend about a half hour dipping into that game alone and what makes it good or what makes it doesn't resonate with people and everything like that. So it's I'm so happy that they're coming back, and this really makes my weekend. So that is my video here today. G4G as a name doesn't have anything to do with G4TV. It may be slightly an homage to it, but Games for Gamers is not related to G4TV in any stretch. But I am so happy to hear it's coming back, and I owe a great debt of gratitude to that X-Play episode with Justin Woods, because it allowed me to really dip into Marvel Avengers Alliance. It's been a long, long, strange trip over there. So take care, everybody. Hope you're as excited as I am, and have yourself a good weekend.